Yo, what's going on, guys? And I meant to make this video before bed, but it was like 2 a.m. So just woke up. Let's get it. Norman Powell. Dude, I talked about this in our preview for the season. I really was feeling like, looking at the year, I was like, guys, I think they're going to start Norman Powell and he's going to be like really good for them, and that they were going to use like Kevin Porter Jr. and the plethora of guards that they have as their new sixth man instead of having Norman be that. And that's exactly what's happened. And Norman Powell, bro, he's putting on like an all-star campaign for this team, but people aren't realizing how good Norman Powell is. So let's talk about it, and let's get into today's video. I want to hear your thoughts down below in the comment section. Do you guys agree with me? Norman Powell, man, he's an important player for this team. So basically, if you've been living under a rock, the Clippers are a team that are kind of having a revamp year after moving on from Paul George. Kawhi Leonard's out, and they're playing James Harden ball, with Norman Powell being a pivotal force, providing, scoring dependent yet multi-dimensional skill set that the Clippers have absolutely been thriving off of. And Powell's importance to the Clippers lies not only in his scoring ability, but his newfound role as a dependable offensive option and a flexible defensive player. Averaging a career high this year, Norman Powell's transformation into the player that you have right now in front of you, which is basically the Clippers' second scoring option, behind James Harden, a role he's taken on with impressive results. And while Powell insists nothing has changed in his approach, his output and influence on both ends suggests that this is him taking his game to a new level, but a level that's always been there. And the only reason we haven't seen it is because of the fact that he has been on such good teams where he's been put in this other role where he's more of like a complementary player. And this season, Norman Powell has become a go-to scorer, averaging 25 points per game on highly efficient 53% shooting. He's shot 48% from beyond the arc, which is also a career high as of right now. And we all know those numbers are going to go down as the season goes, but still, it just shows that he's playing at a really high level and taking advantage of the offensive threats that he is able to create from the perimeter. And his scoring efficiency is a guy that, despite being his experience as a part-time starter with the Toronto Raptors and a full-time starter with the Portland Trail Blazers, I think this season stands out as his most impactful, as each game you can see that his scoring opportunities and his shot selections are getting better. And unlike past seasons, I think you can see Norman Powell's playing with a lot more patience and allowing the game to come to him, which has definitely elevated his shooting percentages and reduced the amount of forced shots. Beyond that, I think his scoring ability, he's developed into this really good defensive player. Like against the Golden State Warriors, Norman Powell's versatility was on full display. He blocked Moses Moody's three-point shot before running full court and blocking a shot on the other end. And in that same sequence, we saw Norman Powell's ability to switch quickly from defense to offense. And I misspoke right there. He went from blocking Moses Moody's shot to running down court and finishing it with a dunk. And I just think his ability to be the guy who is able to be a point of attack defender that can then transition into scoring. I mean, another moment, the other game against the Spurs, Norman Powell took on Victor Wembanyama. And I know Victor Wembanyama's skinny as hell, but still, his willingness to guard players of all sizes and positions, it's great, because Norman Powell's defensive flexibility for a Clippers team that ranks 10th in steals and 22nd in blocks this season is huge. And by taking on different assignments on defense, from guards to forwards, I think it allows Norman Powell to help reinforce this team's culture of adaptability and versatility on defense. That is why they're better than what you think. Like the Clippers' record right now, in the standings, I think they're for a team that people thought, oh, they're injured and all that. I mean, they're 5-4. They're about 500 through 9 games, guys. So the Clippers' overall season has them in the middle of the standings, obviously, but their offense, 109 points per game, ranks 23rd. Their defensive rating, 107.8 points per game, ranks 5th. So crazy to think about, like, their offense isn't even clicking, but like they're still able to win games, and their defense is what's actually clipping. And the thing is Powell, who has experienced a slight, who's experienced a slight bump in production, the Clippers have had a slight dip in production, because right now they went from 115 points per game last year to 109 this year. So his ability to produce these consistent points is going to help mitigate the offensive struggles posed by the injuries or the off nights from Kawhi Leonard or James Harden, the rest of the guys. Because we assume like once this team's fully healthy, everything's going to go up. And compared to last season, the Clippers' offensive numbers have declined. They're including an area for, indicating an area for improvement. Like last year, as we said, 115 points. That was 12th in the league for scoring. They had the 4th best offensive rating with 118. And right now they're ranked 23rd in offensive rating. And this team needs to get back to what they're able to do. This season, their shooting efficiency sits at 47%. That's 8th worst in the league. Powell, however, is going to be the leader in the offensive production that's going to help compensate for this slower start from other players. As James Harden, who has struggled to shoot from 37% from the field, he'll get back into rhythm. But I think Powell's ability to seamlessly shift between roles is, a testament to Tyronn Lue of how good of a coach he is, but also how good of Norman Powell is. So when you look at this and everything else that's going on, looking ahead, I think this season progresses as this team has hopes for a playoff run. I think getting a consistent output from a guy like Norman Powell is going to be the biggest thing, as he's a guy who's playoff tested and he gives them a player that's a seasoned scorer. So I think, this is a team that we've already seen that needs to get some things fixed. As we mentioned earlier, this season we've seen them improve in their opponent field goal percentage and their opponent 3-point percentage. So they're like a better defensive team this year, except their rim protection was, like I said, 22nd ranked in the league, 8th worst, as they're more of a perimeter defensive and switching schemes team than rather a rim protecting team. And Norman Powell's ability to contest shots and stay in front of his mans allows the Clippers to maintain defensive pressures without relying solely on a shot blocker, as his defensive presence on the perimeter allows Ivica Zubac to focus on protecting the paint, regardless of him not being like an elite rim protecting. This allows them, to have kind of this balanced defensive approach, even though they are a smaller team, because you have to look at it like this is a very, very small team. And as I said before, it's something that with Norman Powell, he's got to do this, as James Harden, who's currently averaging like 21 points, 9.5 assists a game while shooting only 37% from the field, while, Norman Powell shooting so efficient and being able to play like this, who Harden's ball dominant style has led to 5.1 turnovers a game, making Powell's reliable shot creation and ball security 1.9 turnovers per game very stabilizing for the offense, as this allows Tyronn Lue to run plays through Norman Powell, especially in crunch time, where his shot making ability has provided critical late game points. So I think the consistency that Norman Powell brings is huge, as well as this is Powell's this team is 10th in steals per game, is 8.8, and they're also 17th in defensive rebounding. As I've said before, I think him being here is helping this team a lot. So as I said, this team needs Norman Powell for his leadership, veteran presence, and his defensive intensity, while also his selfless play. So Norman Powell's basically epitomizing the Clippers' culture of being versatile and trying to be an efficient team. I think he's impacting the game on both ends, and I hope that in a season where the Clippers have expectations to exceed what people presume was going to be a down year because Paul George left, I think Norman Powell is a bigger reason why that's going to be achievable. Let me hear your thoughts down below.